The school year finally started, and I was excited to see Melissa again. We exchanged messages a few times before the semester began, and I was looking forward to attending the art collectives. On the first day of school, I made sure to wear my freshest fit, and after my first few classes, I headed to the art collectives meeting spot. Melissa texted me the location, and I arrived early, nervous but eager to see her. As I walked in, I spotted her amidst a group of students, her smile lighting up the room. We exchanged warm hellos, and she introduced me to her friends. The exhibition was a blast, with live music, art installations, and passionate discussions about creativity. I was impressed by Melissa's talent and enthusiasm. After the event, we grabbed coffee together, and our conversation flowed effortlessly. As the evening drew to a close, I walked her back to her dorm, feeling a connection that went beyond a casual crush. "Want to grab dinner sometime this week?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Melissa smiled, her eyes sparkling. "Definitely," she replied. The school year was off to a great start.
A few days later, Melissa and I finally decided to hang out. I spent half the afternoon picking out what to wear, rehearsing jokes in my head, and trying not to look too eager. She showed up in this soft blue sweater that made her eyes look even brighter, and I swear my confidence melted a little right there. We went to this small diner near campus, the kind of place with fairy lights, good music, and slightly wobbly tables. Things started off great. We laughed, talked about professors we both found annoying, and argued playfully over which artist was overrated. I was feeling pretty confident at the moment. Then, Melissa decided we should go to the art gallery close to the diner. Standout art is sent from the school and sold or admired. I decided to show off a bit. Her friends from the art collective had walked in, and I wanted to seem funny, confident, you know, the kind of guy who could hold a room. So, when one of them joked about how some people pretend to understand modern art and didn't really know how to paint, I jumped in and said, "Yeah, like the person who made this dumb piece over here." I laughed hard. The problem: the piece I was talking about was actually made by Melissa, and it was why she brought me to the art gallery. She wanted to tell me how much this piece meant to her and her craft, plus it being in the art gallery made it more special. Her smile froze. The environment went quiet for a bit too long. "That's actually my piece," she said softly, eyes narrowing just a bit. I tried to backtrack, stumbling over my words. No, I didn't mean that one. I'm really sorry." She cut me off with a tight smile. "It's fine," she said, but the tone told me it wasn't. The rest of the date was awkward. I tried to crack a few light jokes, but the magic from our first meeting was gone. When we walked back to campus, there was this heavy silence between us that hadn't been there before. Outside her dorm, she stopped and crossed her arms. "You know," she said, "you don't always have to joke to make an impression." That one hit deep. I wanted to say something clever, something to fix it, but all I managed was, "Yeah, you're right." She gave me a polite smile, the kind people give when they're done for the night, and disappeared inside. I stood there for a while, just thinking, realizing I'd just ruined what could have been something great, all because I wanted to seem cooler than I actually was. I went back to my apartment and told John all about the night I ruined. The next few days were brutal. Every time I saw Melissa around campus, at the art building, in the cafe line, or just crossing around, she'd give me this polite half-smile that said, "We're fine." I hated it. Not just because I liked her, but because she'd been right. I did try too hard to impress people. So, instead of texting her another awkward apology, I decided to do something that actually meant something. The art collective was hosting another event that weekend, an open gallery where students could share anything: paintings, poems, short films, music, whatever. I wasn't much of an artist, so I did some practicing. I decided to use symbolic abstraction to reach out to her and apologize. Symbolic abstraction is an abstract art with a more symbolic meaning or expressing emotion and perceptions. I spent 2 nights working on my apology painting. It wasn't fancy, just honest. On the day of the exhibition, I brought my weird painting to the stage. Melissa was sitting somewhere in the crowd, surprised to see me on stage. I explained to the judges that the painting is about how we all wear masks, try to sound cooler, smarter, funnier than we really are. About how sometimes we ruin moments by pretending instead of just being. And somewhere in the middle, I slipped in a line about a girl whose art I made fun of cause I wanted to look cool and make others laugh. When I finished, the room went quiet for a second, then got filled with a heartwarming applause. But when I looked up, Melissa was sitting happily. She wasn't clapping, she was just smiling. After the show, she came up to me. "That was unexpected," she said, arms still folded but her tone softer now. "I figured it was better than another lame text," I said, scratching the back of my neck. She laughed that same bright laugh that had caught me the first day of the semester. "You're still an idiot," she said, "but at least now you're an honest one." We ended up walking again, this time without the tension. I didn't try to be funny or clever, I just listened. And as we said goodnight, she looked at me and said, "Next time, try not to be a jerk," and gave me a hug in front of her dorm. I just smiled and walked back home.